I've talked about the theme of choices in my past videos. The most interesting thing about this video game is that you can make choices, but you see how it affects things in the short term. It'll pop up and say like Clem is disappointed, or someone thinks you're lying, or someone agrees with you, and you're like, okay, cool, I did the right thing, I did the wrong thing, or I don't know if I did the wrong or right thing. But you really don't realize until the fifth chapter that your choices actually do matter, and actually in the fourth chapter too. First example of that is when Clem's gone missing, and you're trying to start a search party, and everyone has the option of joining you. And actually, everybody joined me except for Kenny. They show you at the end the percentage of, how many people got one person to go, how many people got everyone, or, what kind of mix and match. And actually, not a lot of people managed to get everyone. And I was actually in kind of in a low percentage thing to manage to get Ben, Omid, and Krista. And I want to say somebody else was there, but maybe not. I can't remember. But anyways, it goes to show you that the way that you do treat people does actually affect. So, we were talking about going back and letting Lee be a jerk. Well, I'm sure the plot line essentially would end up being the same, but you wouldn't have the same help that you would had you treated everybody nicely. And Kenny, I was mad that Kenny didn't want to come because I had backed him up a lot. But it, honestly, and I don't really regret it, because a lot of the decisions that he was making felt very irrational, so it was very hard to support him a lot of times. But it felt like he was being a bad friend to me at the end, because he wouldn't support me on this, even though I had supported him on stuff. The other thing that brings in basically your final judgment is in the end, when you actually find Clem and she's been taken, surprise, by the owner of the abandoned car back in couple chapters back, I think chapter 2. And he confronts you about this because ultimately, the car wasn't abandoned, or not abandoned for good, and the actions of the group ended up sending them to their doom. You basically screwed them out of survival, not, and that's not to say that we could have known. I guess we could have put more thought in it. Now, I will say that I actually did listen to Clementine and didn't take the stuff, but, sorry, that's my phone. Didn't take the stuff, but, it didn't matter to him, because, I guess he felt he should have known better. And, I felt justified in the way that I had, done things. But, well, to be quite frank, he was crazy. He had his wife's zombie head in a bowling ball bag. But so, anyways, so it feels like a final judgment. Kind of in, a religious sense. You weigh, your pros and your cons, and you're judged, and depending on, which way you're going to do, you're going to get damned by this guy. But, in that same sense, there's really no repercussions, because you have that digital wall where, you're here playing the game and Lee's over there, and even if he does shoot Lee, you don't die. And anyways, he's dying anyways, because he's bitten at this point. So choices are a huge part of this whole game, and it's interesting to see, how it all comes together at the end. I'm running over a little bit of time. This is a little bit longer video, but I have just a couple more comments to make. I really just didn't realize how emotionally attached I would get to these fictional characters. I'm not afraid to say that I actually got teared up at the end of the game. I'm getting a little misty-eyed just thinking about it. And it's silly because they're fictional characters and it's not real. But when Lee is bit and Clem is she's a little girl and she's about to be on her own. And just seeing how hard Lee is fighting to find her and keep her safe. and you know, it just gets to you. So, you know, I was pretty upset at the end of the game, and I did let Clem shoot Lee, because ultimately I thought it was worse to see him as a walker because she saw her parents as a walker. You know, it's better to see him be peaceful than to, you know, have him turn into a monster. So as much as I wanted to preserve her innocence, you know, I think thinking as Lee, I think the logic is, you know, she's going to be on her own. She's going to be able to protect herself, and at least she doesn't have to worry about this person that she's come to love, or one more person that she's come to love, try to kill her. So I'll let her do that. And it was so sad, and I was like, final moments. The other things I thought were interesting, if you actually stuck around and read the credits, I thought it was very cool that Telltale Games actually, when they were thanking everyone, actually shouted out, they thanked you. I mean, just said thank you, and it really just goes to show you that you are really a part of the plot. And also, if you stuck around until after the credits rolled, there was actually an epilogue. So hopefully you stuck around and saw that. Kind of gave a hint about the second game, where Clem strikes out on her own. And, you know, Telltale Games has definitely hooked a fan, and I would totally be willing to go play that game, because I just think this is such a well done piece of entertainment, and, you know, just great storytelling, and I can't wait to see what they have going on next.